On this Ram 1500 with the 5.7HEMI P0330 is a NOx sensor 2 circuit fault. In plain terms, the PCM is seeing a NOx sensor signal that may be outside the range it expects. The truck may turn the MIL on, and depending on the failure, spark control can be affected. Broadly, this can involve the NOx sensor signal circuit, the sensor return circuit, connector problems, the NOx sensor itself, or, farther down the path, the PCM. Before diving into pin testing, start with the basic pre-diagnostic checks. The monitor gate for this code is engine speed above 2000 RPM, battery voltage between 7.5 volts and 15.8 volts, and barometric pressure above 75.2 kPa. The PCM sets the fault when the NOx sensor input is above 4.8 volts or less than 0.2 volts when engine speed is above 2000 RPM. Start by reading codes in all modules and recording the related operating data. Save the scan report and the recorded data, then clear the codes. Turn the ignition off for a minimum of 10.0 seconds, turn it back on and run the vehicle under the same type of conditions that set the code. Then read the codes again. If P0330 does not return, handle it as an intermittent condition. If it does return, move into the NOx sensor 2 circuit checks. With the ignition off, isolate the NOx sensor 2 signal circuit. Disconnect the PCM and every component connector that contains the circuit being tested, while leaving the inline connectors connected at this stage. Use the wiring diagram to follow the circuit path. At the PCM harness side, connect one DVOM lead to the signal circuit, then use the other lead to check the other circuits at that connector. If a PCM harness terminal has to be accessed, use the Diagnostic 10436 adapter. With the circuit isolated, there should be no continuity between the NOx sensor 2 signal circuit and any other circuit. If you do find continuity, repair the short between the circuits, using inline connectors as needed to narrow the location, then verify the repair. If there is no continuity here, the stated path moves to the connection inspection. Because the later return point is not clear, pause, recheck the earlier diagnostic path, and avoid guessing your way into a branch that was not actually called for. When the diagnostic path calls for the open and high resistance checks, keep the ignition off. For the NOx sensor 2 signal circuit, disconnect the PCM and the NOx sensor connector that contains the circuit being tested, then use the wiring diagram to follow the path. Before measuring the circuit, measure the resistance of the DVOM leads themselves so you understand what the leads are adding. Connect 1 meter lead at the component connector and the other at the GPEC adapter and measure the circuit. The GPEC diagnostic adapter can add up to 1.5 ohms of resistance, and the PCM harness connectors should not be probed directly. The signal circuit should be below 3.0 ohms. If it is not below 3.0 ohms, repair the open or high resistance and verify the repair. If it is below 3.0 ohms, make the same type of check on the K924 sensor return circuit. That return circuit should also be below 3.0 ohms. If it is not, repair the open or high resistance and verify the repair. Next, with the ignition still off, isolate the circuits and check whether the NOx sensor 2 signal circuit is shorted to the sensor return circuit. There should be no continuity between those circuits. If continuity is present, repair the short and verify the repair. If there is no continuity, continue with the signal circuit short to ground check. Keep the circuit isolated. Connect the negative DVOM lead to a known good ground, and use the positive lead to check the NOx sensor 2 signal circuit at the component connector. There should be no continuity between ground and the circuit being tested. If continuity is present, repair the short to ground, using the wiring diagram and any inline connectors to isolate the location, then verify the repair. If there is no continuity to ground, continue to the sensor step. If the circuit tests have passed and the path has led you here, turn the ignition off and replace NOx sensor 2. Reconnect the component and PCM connectors, turn the ignition on, clear the codes, then turn the ignition off for a minimum of 10.0 seconds. Turn it back on, Operate the vehicle under the conditions that set the code and read the codes again. If P0330 does not return, the faulty component repair took care of the fault, and you still verify the repair. If the code does return, move into connector and terminal checks. For the connector side of the diagnosis, handle any applicable bulletins first. Then disconnect the PCM connectors, any related inline connectors if equipped, and the related component connectors. Inspect the harness and component connectors carefully for poor seating, damaged locks, corrosion, water intrusion, seal damage, bent or overheated terminals, push-back terminals, spread terminals, and weak terminal tension. Repair any condition you find. Reconnect everything fully, making sure the connectors are seated and the locks are engaged. Clear the codes, test drive or operate the vehicle under the conditions that run this monitor, and read the codes again. If P0330 does not return, the wiring or connection problem has been repaired. If it does return after this path, replace and program the PCM, then verify the repair and confirm the code stays gone. The takeaway is simple. Prove the code comes back, isolate the signal and return circuits correctly, protect the PCM terminals with the adapter, and do not condemn the module until the wiring, sensor path, and connections have been checked. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.